Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with a look at Saskatchewan's COVID-19 numbers. There are 36 new cases of COVID-19 in Saskatchewan today and no new deaths. 2 of the new cases are in the Northwest, with 1 in the immediate Lloydminster area, where we have 20 active cases. There are 639 active cases province-wide, with 59 in the Northwest. 79 people are in hospital, with 7 in the Northwest. 1 million doses of the vaccine have been administered province-wide, with more than 64,000 in our zone. A number of people got together and spoke at City Hall last night to mourn the recent findings of children's bodies for Indigenous Peoples Day. Our Shelby Clark has that story.
Monday was the 25th anniversary of National Indigenous Peoples Day in Canada, although this year it's a time of sorrow. Indigenous people are using the marked day to mourn the remains of 215 children's bodies at a residential school in Kamloops, BC.
It's a really huge day for not only me. I'm doing this for my grandparents who were residential school survivors. I'm doing it for my son and his future family as well, and for everybody else who is here.
Trista Cook, who's lived in Lloydminster for 12 years now, says she's now experiencing more respect than ever from other residents.
You go around and people actually acknowledge you as a First Nation, because I will go around and people would never look me in the eye, and I don't know why, but now recently my shoulders are more up and I'm walking around and people actually look at me and say hello and even let me go ahead of them in lines, and I was pretty surprised about that too.
She believes some people are more proud and are learning not to be ashamed of being Indigenous anymore.
Like today, I'm so proud to be First Nations, and before, when I was young, I hate to say it, but I was ashamed. I used to wish I was a different color because we got treated differently. And now I feel like I can walk around proud of who I am, and people respect me.
A couple residential school survivors also spoke at City Hall, along with Métis dancers that performed for everybody. The hope after Indigenous Day is for others to give the respect to First Nations people that they deserve, and that Indigenous people should be proud of the color of their skin.
They were grabbed from their families. Imagine how they felt without their parents, without their guardians. Some didn't even make it home.
This is our land, and we share it with everybody, and it just doesn't feel nice when you walk around in public and people look down on you. So now I feel like we can walk around and be proud, and we should be. We should be proud Indigenous people.
For Primetime Local News, I'm Shelby Clark.
Lloydminster City Council marked National Indigenous Peoples Day by recognizing the traditional land the city sits on ahead of Monday's regular council meeting.
The City of Lloydminster and the Lloydminster City Council would like to acknowledge that the chambers in which we are holding today's meeting is situated on Treaty 6 territory, traditional lands of the First Nations and Métis people.
Deputy Mayor Jonathan Torreson delivered the land acknowledgement. Last week he brought forward the idea of adding the declaration at the beginning of council meetings as a way to honor and pay respect to the many Indigenous people living on Treaty 6 territory.
I believe it's something that moving forward we intend to do. I think it's important. It's important to start doing it whenever we can start doing it, but it's also very meaningful that we started doing it on Indigenous Peoples Day as well.
While land acknowledgements have not traditionally been a part of council meetings, city officials have delivered land declarations at some public events in the past. Both Lloydminster Public and Catholic school divisions have policies to acknowledge traditional territories during certain school events. Deputy Mayor Torreson believes it's important to understand the trauma many Indigenous people feel after the discovery of the remains of 215 children at a former residential school in Kamloops.
Actually take time today to recognize all of these things and to stand with our Indigenous brothers and sisters and make sure we understand, or we try our best to try and put ourselves in their shoes and how difficult a time they would be having.
A recent poll from the Association for Canadian Studies found that 50% of Canadians either strongly or somewhat agree that politicians should regularly make land acknowledgements. A cross-province bike marathon kicked off early Monday morning in support of the Kids with Cancer Society with the goal of raising $250,000. Jillian Code has more.
The first leg of Len Spratt's Ride for Legends bike tour was met with cheers from supporters at the Vermilion River County Shop. Spratt is riding across the province to raise funds for the Kids with Cancer Society.
They are a not-for-profit agency and depend on individuals like myself and many others to help raise funds so that children and families that are challenged through these difficult times have the necessary funds.
This is Spratt's 14th ride for the Society, and his dedication encouraged Louis Genet to take part in the first leg of the journey.
I'm pretty proud of. At 36, I think I'm precisely half Len's age, and he didn't have to tow me up any of the hills, and we made her.
Genet is one of many riders who will accompany Spratt along his journey, with each ride being dedicated to a child with cancer.
What we're doing here today is riding in honor of Emma, who passed away in January. I'll end up carrying 10, 11 children in my pocket with me, and that's inspiration enough to see me through.
At the end of his journey, Spratt will have biked more than 1,000 kilometers. He turns 72 this year and draws strength from the children he is biking for.
So when it gets a little tough, for Louis and I today, all we had to do is think a little bit about how hard it was taking chemo and radiation for a 3, 4, 5, 6-year-old child, and it puts it in perspective. You just sit up and keep working.
Spratt will end his journey in Onaway on June 29th. For Primetime Local News, I'm Jillian Code.
Now our Connor Chan will take a look at your evening weather.
All right, thanks very much, Jasmine. Looking at temperatures, a little bit cloudier today than we did expect, though. It was still warmer than yesterday, as we are seeing those temperatures starting to get a little bit warmer, as we are going to see starting Monday, those temperatures getting into those 30s. So we should have another few more days, at least of mild to warmish temperature there, with the winds also coming in from the west there at 19 kilometers an hour. There is a slight off chance we could see a little bit of rain later on in the evening tonight, but looking at other temperatures right now in our area, also fairly warm throughout the day, with 28 in Vermilion, 28 also in Cold Lake and Pierceland, 29 degrees for both Edmonton and in Vegreville, with 26 for St. Paul and Marway, and 31 degrees in Macklin today, with 28 also. We see that number in Maidstone and in North Battleford as well. A little bit of precipitation that's passing through as we take a look to the satellite radar map. A little bit of that rain could be making its way into that Lloydminster area, as I mentioned, later on the evening, probably around that 7-ish mark we could see, but just little light pockets of showers making their way through parts of the prairies here. We could see some rain up in Cold Lake for tomorrow as we take a look at those in-depth temperatures throughout most of our region. So North Battleford 14 degrees overnight with a little bit of cloud coverage, and 22 will be the daytime high for tomorrow. So it drops a little bit, but not too far off the rails there. 15 degrees overnight in Cold Lake tonight. We could see some more showers popping in that area for tomorrow with that high of 22 degrees. And we see the wind also kind of staying consistent throughout the day than it was today as well. And then going into for us here tomorrow, 15 degrees overnight for us here at Lloydminster. We'll see a little bit more cloud coverage as we are going to start to see some cooler air come back into the mix here. So 21 will be our high, but we won't be quite as warm, but we'll still be in those mid-20s as we look ahead to Thursday, Friday. We'll get back to starting to warm up a little bit more onto Thursday with a little bit more sun expected for those upcoming days there. So 23 on Thursday and then 27 on Friday. And as we get to the weekend, we should see temperatures start to exceed over that 27-degree mark, as we could start to see those temperatures, like I said, possibly back into the 30s. That's a look at your weather forecast for now. We'll have more primetime local news after the break.
The year of PGA Majors has almost reached its end. 5 out of the 6 majors for the PGA Tour season are finished, with the U.S. Open wrapping up on Sunday. Evan Kenny has more on the weekend.
It was a happy Father's Day indeed for Jon Rahm, as the new father became the newest PGA Major winner as well, winning the U.S. Open on Sunday. Joining me today to break this down is Marty Wheaton from Wheaton Golf Services. Marty, Thank you for taking this time. Now, Marty, first things first, when I heard that this was Jon Rahm's first major, I was surprised. I was a little taken back just seeing how he's been up there, near the top of leaderboards for so long. It seems like it was about time that he finally won one.
Couldn't be better timing for Jon Rahm. Honestly, first Father's Day for him, I believe, with a newborn baby and what happened to him at Memorial. This is sweet, sweet revenge for Jon Rahm. Unbelievable player. I think he'll continue to battle for that world #1 spot. He's been there before. This might have put him in that position, I believe, as well. So awesome revenge due to that COVID ordeal there at Memorial Golf Tournament.
And Marty, what this makes me think of is back in 2016, Dustin Johnson, he was right there with a lot of major championships, coming up just short until finally 2016 at the US Open. He won his first major title there in the PGA Tour. Now, do you think this will be similar for Jon Rahm, where after, sort of opening up the floodgates, he really takes off here?
Yeah, the old saying, the cream always rises to the top, and that's what's happening here. Is the guys are so good, DJ and Jon Rahm, both of them, they're bound to win these events. And true mark of a champion going through adversity like that. Both of them have had heartache and letdowns, and to continue to win, continue to climb to the top, it just shows how good of characters both of them are.
And Marty, it was a come from behind victory this weekend for Jon Rahm. Now, besides those two unbelievable putts to finish off his round, what were his keys to victory?
Well, certainly the final round, that's where the trophy is won. He tied for the lowest round, 4 under those conditions is unbelievable. And certainly he set himself apart last day.
Now, the runner-up for the U.S. Open was Louis Oosthuizen, who, at different points throughout the weekend either had the lead or had a share of the lead. This was his 6th second-place finish at majors, which is an unbelievable stat. Unfortunate for him, but kind of comedic for us watching at home. Now, Marty, he had the lead or tied for the lead up until that 17th hole where he put his drive into the left canyon there. Now, do you think the driver was the right call on that 17th hole?
I think you just got to pull off the shot at the right time. And for Louis, he's been there many times. Unbelievable player, but you certainly don't want to change your strategy or second guess what you're doing out there. It's just about pulling off the shots when you're under that pressure.
And finally, Marty, that 18th hole, an exciting final showdown there as Louis Oosthuizen needed to make an eagle, which was more than possible. He had made an eagle on that exact same hole on the Saturday. So, that made for a lot of entertainment as a fan. Now, Marty, that kind of brought up the discussion throughout the golf world. If more courses should have, more of a playable 18th hole rather than more of a difficult one. Now, what's your thought on this?
Yeah, definitely. You want to see a turn of the tide there, the last 3 holes. So drivable par 4s, reachable par 5s, all those are good to see the changes that are going to happen in the championship. And it gives everybody a shot all the way down to the wire.
Marty, thank you very much for taking this time and joining me. The Travelers Championship is this upcoming weekend.
Yeah, thanks again, Evan.
With the government of Saskatchewan announcing that in less than 3 weeks, all public health orders will be removed, one local sports association is excited that they can now offer their players an opportunity to get back on the court.
We're happy to announce, I guess, that after the official pronouncement of Step 3 on July 11th, we will restart our season. It will be a good year for tennis once again.
This year, we're seeing the restrictions being loosened. But last May, the Lloydminster Tennis Association was looking forward to the 2020 tennis season, but when more and more restrictions were announced, they reached their breaking point.
We lost a season last year. The only thing we did last year is, come at a random time and play tennis. But other than that, it really wasn't a good year. So.
With the restrictions in place a few months ago, the association wasn't able to start their season. But now, with Saskatchewan announcing all restrictions will be removed by July 11th, the association is planning to host 2 tournaments this summer.
Now we are sitting under Step 2, which allows us to gather outdoors and play mini leagues starting today, actually, June 22nd. So From today forward, we are looking to having our 2 big tournaments, one in July, the Border City Tennis Championships, and one in August.
Currently, the association isn't allowed to offer lessons to tennis players around the community due to restrictions, but their courts are open to members and non-members, and they're looking at the possibility to offer more activities in the near future.
We are planning to have ladders for both members and non-members of the club. We are doing ladders matches right now. We still have one-on-one lessons with our head coach, Warren Aguinaldo, at cost because we cannot do group lessons right now.
More information on tennis around the Border City can be found on the Lloydminster Tennis Association's Facebook page. Now our Connor Chan will take another look at your weather forecast.
All right, thanks very much, Jasmine. As we continue to take a look here at temperatures, we are going to see warm temperatures come back in the next couple of days or so. We are going to drop a little bit for tomorrow, where it could be a nice actual day to go play tennis. Not too hot, but not too cold either. We'll still see lots of overcast, but we'll get to that in just a bit here. Looking at temperatures across parts of west here, Edmonton at 29 degrees still, along with Edson, 28 in Red Deer and Athabasca, and then 27s. We see a lot of those here today in Whitecourt, Jasper, as well as in Cold Lake and in Meadow Lake. Moving over into the Saskatchewan areas, 28 degrees in North Battleford and Saskatoon, and 29 degrees in Prince Albert. Moving up to the northern parts here of Saskatchewan, still pretty mild, and they're in those mid-teen temperatures, in some areas in those high 20s. 18 degrees in La Loche, Buffalo Narrows, and in Stony Rapids, with 13 for both Wollaston Lake and in Uranium City, and 27 degrees in La Ronge, so one of the warmer spots in those northern parts of Saskatchewan. 25 degrees in Fort McMurray right now, with 16 in Peace River. Grand Prairie sitting at 27 right now, and Fort Chipewyan at 14 degrees. The southern Alberta and Saskatchewan areas continue to be exceeding those 30-degree marks as we look at 33 in Medicine Hat right now, along with 32 in Lethbridge, and then 31 degrees in Calgary. Coronation at that 30 degrees as well, and Banff also still pretty warm with 26 degrees. Looking over into Saskatchewan now with 30 in Kindersley, Moose Jaw, and in Regina, and then we see 29s in Swift Current as well as in Estevan. Now looking ahead to the next cup around the rest of the country here, 25 in Winnipeg, a little bit cooler off in Ontario, as Ontario's expecting a little bit cooler temperatures, a little bit of flurries also. We could see that in Ontario with 18 in Toronto and 15 in Quebec City, 23 in St. John's, and 20 degrees out in Halifax. Still that same cloud coverage hovering over around Edmonton, where we could see a little bit of rain in there making its way into our area. As I mentioned, around that 7:30 round was where we could start to see some showers, just a little bit though, not a whole lot. But then 21 degrees in Vancouver, and then 19 all the way up in the far north in Whitehorse. And here's what we are going to see for tomorrow. We are going to drop a little bit here, but not too dramatically here. But 21 degrees will be our daytime highs. We will see a lot of cloud coverage and overcast throughout the day tomorrow, and we'll start to clear up by around Thursday. So 20 degrees in Vermilion and Marwayne right now, with 22 up in Cold Lake and Bonnyville, and 21 for Lac La Biche and St. Paul tomorrow. 20 also we'll see that number in Vegreville, and then over in the Saskatchewan areas, 23 in Macklin, with 21 also in that St. Walburg and Maidstone area. We're going to see lots of that overcast over the next, at least for till tomorrow, and then we'll start to see things starting to clear up as we go further along into the week, as we talk about that here with 23 on Thursday, 27 degrees on Fridays. We are starting to get a little bit more sun, and then going into Saturday, we'll start to get closer to the 30-degree mark, where we could see that number change, maybe going into the 30 degrees by Saturday. So 31 expected for Sunday, and then 33 degrees on Monday and on Tuesday. So it'll be a very warm, hot day on both those days there, as well as we'll see more cloud coverage there on Tuesday to help with that sun that we are going to be getting more heat coming into this area. That is a look at your weather forecast for now. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after the break.
Welcome back, everybody, for this week's edition of Pet Project. I'm joined once again with our friend Becca Lawrence from the Lloydminster and Community SPCA. Becca, how are you doing today? Who are we speaking with? Who's this little guy?
We're doing really good here. This handsome devil here is Barnaby. So he came in from Vermilion with an injured foot. So basically all it ended up being, thankfully, was a cyst on his foot. So he probably got into a scrap where he shouldn't have been. And so now it's all good and healed up, and he's ready to find his forever home now.
Well, that's great to hear that, he's been doing a good job healing up and getting healthy. He looks like a very calm, cool cat. Like, we were chit-chatting a little bit off camera, and he was cuddling with you the whole time. And yeah, it seems like he just wants more pets. So how is he as a cat, his personality-wise?
Oh, he's hilarious. Like you can obviously see, he loves love. You can probably hear him too. And yeah, like you hold him and he's the happiest cat can be. So he's got a cat neighbor and they seem to like each other a lot too. So we think that he'll be good with other friendly cats. And but yeah, other than that, I mean, like he's handleable. Like obviously I don't even really have to hold him. He makes his own choice to be here. And yeah, he just is a big guy that's full of love.
Oh, that's so wonderful. I will say, like, he looks like such a sweet cat, and that's, there are lots of different types of cats and different personalities, and that is one that a lot of people are looking for, is the affectionate cat, the one that, when you walk in the door, it's trying to jump up and give you hugs, So if anybody out there in the border city is looking for, somebody to give them a lot of love every day, certainly Barnaby seems like the man for the job. And
yes, he is.
so Becca, I know I was reading on your Instagram this morning, I saw that you guys are putting out an all points bulletin for fosters. You guys have had an influx of kittens, and you guys are looking for volunteers right now to help ease the load of that a little bit. Why don't we chat about that? Why don't we let the people know what you're looking for?
Yeah, so I mean, just in the last couple of days, I think we jinxed ourselves by saying, that we haven't had too many kittens coming this year. And just in the last few days, we've had a boatload come in. So we are looking for more fosters. The ones that we have already have kittens in their care. So we're really just looking for more, just for that backup as well. But yeah, we have a full shelter right now full of cats and kittens, and we're just looking to find those foster homes for them until they're actually ready to go find their forever homes.
There you go. So anybody out there who, again, maybe isn't looking for a pet full-time, but perhaps the kids are home during the summer and you want something to, a nice bonding experience, that could be something. You could help take care of a kitten or something,
Yeah,
so,
good teaching experience.
Exactly. It's always good to show kids how to be nice to something, That's not a human that's not giving them something back, So it's certainly a great learning opportunity. So Becca, how are you doing for dogs? Just real quick, we'll touch on that. Obviously, you guys are really full of cats right now. How are you guys doing dog numbers wise?
We're doing really good, actually. We just have a couple on the floor, which is really nice, and a couple new strays. So we're hoping that mom and dad will come find them here. But other than that, we just have the 3 on the floor right now. So we're doing really, really good on dog space.
Well, good to hear. So if anybody out there is looking for a dog, or maybe your dog got lost and you're not sure where it ended up, could be at the SPCA right now, so maybe check in with them. And real quick before we go, Becca, really exciting event coming up, which is your guys' tattoo fundraiser that you're putting on with Marked Up Tattoos, I believe is the Perfect. All right, so why don't you tell us about that? That's coming up right away, and it certainly is a really cool event.
Yeah, so that's this Saturday, the 26th. And, we booked off about, I think, 94 spots, and they are all full. So then we made a cancellation list even, and that's almost pretty full too. So, we're hoping that we can squeeze in a few extra people on the day, just to see, depending on how fast the tattoos go, it's all 20-minute slots. But yeah, we're doing really good for that. We're fully booked, and we're also going to have a barbecue. So everything is the barbecue is just by donation. And the tattoos are $100, but then half the proceeds are coming back to us. So we're really excited. We think it's going to be quite a fun day.
That is certainly very interesting, Becca. And somebody who's, I don't have a lot of tattoos myself. I got a couple. I've looked into it. $100 for a tattoo is basically as cheap as it comes. There really is not a tattoo shop that's going to, mark you up, so to speak,
Yeah.
for any less than $100. So
Yeah.
great deal. It's for a great cause. Even if you're not already booked in to get a tattoo, you know, definitely check in to see if there are any cancellations, any openings. And even if you're not going to get tattooed or you have no interest, it's not something you're into, everybody loves barbecue. Everybody loves getting something to eat. So certainly, if you're not getting a tattoo, maybe just stop in and grab a hot dog or a burger. Well, that's unfortunately all the time we have for this week, Becca, but we will speak with you again soon. And you and Barnaby have a great rest of your afternoon.
Manage your waste and recyclables with Quick Pick Waste Disposal. 100% locally owned and proud to serve and support the communities we call home. Quick Pick, the convenient solution to avoid pollution.
Glenn Fagnan, Executive Director of Border City Connects, joins us recapping this year's RibFest. Glenn, just to start things off, how did it go this year?
Yeah, no, it was, again, another great success. It was almost a mirror image as far as the numbers of vehicles that went through. We had, you know, roughly 10,000 people, 3,000 cars again this year. And it was fantastic. We generated a little bit more on the revenue side of things because we did have more 50-50 tickets to sell this year, and we had more sponsors as well. So yeah, overall it was a great success, and I think everybody really enjoyed themselves. It was well receptive. Our river guys did just a tremendous job. These guys they're out of Ontario. There's one in Alberta based. And so there's 4 trucks, and you know they did a wonderful job. You know they put through 10,000 people. You know, every time you're putting through something like that, you're going to have a few little hiccups. Some pulled pork gets missed or something gets missed here and there. And they were just excellent. We had very few incidents like that, and they just took care of things right away. And again, Connor, what they did as well, when they left, they donated about $10,000 worth of food products to the Olive Tree, which is great. And you know, they do support the community when they're here buying things, staying in a hotel for 6 nights. So there's lots of things that it was great to have these ribbers. They did a great job, and you know, truly, again, on social media, everybody was very pleased. And if everybody's happy, then so are we.
How much money was raised at RibFest this year, as well as where are those funds going to go towards?
I think, you know, we haven't got all our figures in here, but we're probably going to net around $30,000 that we would have made on that. And that's simply going to go into our daily operations. Of course, it's been, you know, very quiet with our handy van aspect of things. We've been, which is now called the Border City Express. We just haven't been taking people out over the last year or so. I mean, just very small amounts. So yeah, our costs our costs don't change. We still have our insurance and, you know, all our fixed costs. And so that's just going to go to the day-to-day operations. So it's well needed and well deserved.
Did expectations surpass what you guys wanted from an organizational standpoint?
Yeah, you know, it was last year we held it in August, and so this year it was we wanted to nail down this Father Day date so that from this year forward we will be having the RibFest on Father's Day. So we're trying to get it so that it becomes a tradition, and it certainly becomes an event for the city and for the region. And so we weren't sure how Father's Day was going to work out. I thought, there's a lot of things that are already planned for people on Father's Day, but, we did it this year, and next year people will be much more aware of it. And I think they'll start taking a look at including having RibFest for Father's Day instead of having Dad barbecue. That's what we're hoping anyways.
Looking ahead to next year, what are some ways that you're looking to top the event from the last 2 years?
No, well, actually, Connor, when we signed up for this, it was traditionally the RibFest is a live event, and it has you've got beer gardens, you have a live stage with music and local music and other bands that can be playing for 3 days. There's no drive-through. It is a walk-up. It's in a fenced area at a certain point, at a certain spot. And yeah, it truly is an event, and that's what these Rib Fests are normally. It's just with the pandemic that we've had to go down to the drive-through. So we've never had the real Rib Fest here. We just signed up last year, and then the pandemic came, and we had to do drive-throughs for the last 2 years. Well, we've got some potential partners that want to join in on this. Of course, the whole dynamic changes when you do have an event like that, because you've got the entertainment that you've got to have for 3 days, you've got a beer gardens that is going for 3 days, and there's just all kinds of other events that are going to be taking place there, to make it a true experience for everybody. So yeah, it takes a lot more manpower, a lot more organizational skills, and we're going to be ready for the challenge.
And lastly, Glenn, what's next as we head into summer here for Border City Connects?
Well, one of the things that we've got that was accomplished with this, and this is what we're trying to do here right now, is just bring awareness to Border City Connects. Of course, we were known for being the handy van for the last 40 years. So, with our change in different, bringing in new divisions and a whole new facelift on the organization, it's really tough still shaking that handy van, and so the Border City Connects, that's part of our whole goal is really getting that awareness, and that's what we're going to be continuing doing throughout the summer. We don't have anything planned. We've got some meals and barbecues that we've got to give for our winners of our Polar Splashes for the last 2 years. And we have our staff barbecues and things like that we'll have. But yeah, we're not going to be doing any fundraising this summer, anything organized.
Glenn, I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining us. It's great to see the community came out in full support for Border City Connects with this great event, and hopefully we'll be able to see those numbers double even next year. Thanks, Glenn. Appreciate your time.
Thank you for joining us on Primetime Local News. Have a great rest of your night.